Oh, you can.
Okay. Oh, wait. Weren't there attendees before? Okay, here we go.
I don't have a spreadsheet, so
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't either.
We'll ask.
Florence is under the weather today.
Okay, well, we'll ask the applicant to raise his or her hand.
Seems like it's been a long time since we've seen
You're
it.
here on the, what's the application? Is it,
19 West 12th Street. If you're the applicant for 19 West 12th, could you please raise your hand? Is there anybody here for 19?
here we go.
Okay, Andrew Barber. Andrew, we're going to promote you to panelist.
Dave, are you in?
Okay,
Hi there.
it works. Okay. If you'll come back to the room, we'll start with the Zoom.
Is there anyone else we should promote?
Okay, and then we'll just move it over to that now that we're ready.
Hi, are you a member of the public here to? Yes.
Dave, you're not, I don't see you in the room.
Who is it that you're trying to promote? David Crandall?
David Crandall, correct. He's our project manager on this job.
Okay, anybody else?
So interestingly, I'm actually the architect of record. My name is Ron Eng. So I hit maybe the invite is under Andrew Barber, who's our expediter. So yeah, if that helps. ENG is the last name, and I am the architect of record. David Crandall is also from Formactive, our office, and we are representing 19 West 12th.
Okay, so Mr. Not Barber, what's your actual name?
ENG, Eng, and the first name is Ron, R-O-N.
Like that?
That's it. You got it.
Okay. All right, all yours.
Is everybody updated that should be?
I believe so.
Okay. Okay, if we can go back to the room. This is the September. One moment. This is September 2025 landmarks meeting for Community Board 2 Manhattan. For people who are from the public, the only application that we're hearing tonight is for 19 West 12th Street. All the others have been laid over.
Okay.
If you're here for those, just keep notice of the website, and when those are heard, we will post them. The first application, the only application, is 19 West 12th Street to replace the existing front facade cornice.
Correct.
Okay, when you're ready, please begin.
Do I share my screen, Ron?
I believe so.
Yes, please.
I can see it, Dave. I can see your Zoom screen. There you go.
You see the PDF?
I do.
Okay.
You could all see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Since you have several on a page, would you please, when some details important, just enlarge and zoom in on the particular.
I'm going to escape so I can do that. You're seeing 3 images of the facade at 19 West 12th Street as it exists today. You see 2 wood cornices there at the top. Our hope is to, the history is that we've applied for a new cornice here, and we have met on 3 separate occasions prior to this at staff level reviews where we were proposing initially, our argument was that when we have surveyed this carefully, the condition of these wood cornices, you can see in the photos there a little bit, are fairly deteriorated, physically deteriorated. So our initial proposal was a fiberglass or GFRC replacement where we made a real strong effort to reproduce exactly those two cornices. But because it was a fiberglass GFRC replacement, we were guided to, it sort of fell under the definition of it being not repaired, but replaced. And at that point, our first consultation was in July of 24. And then in February, after that first meeting, it was agreed that we should just proceed with a replacement. So at that point, in reviewing some of the historical photographs, that lower cornice didn't exist at all. The upper one is also not is a corbelled detail there. So we were encouraged to propose that we remove the lower cornice altogether. And then in February of 25, we came to so we proposed to remove that lower cornice as you see there. And then our proposal is for this fiberglass GFR replacement, painted white, just occurring at the top. The property at 19 West 12th Street dates to 1845, a late Greek revival. And we had sort of made the choice to go with these kind of simple dentrals below the property. So the image on the left just shows the geometry of what was existing. It's idiosyncratic, it's asymmetrical, it returns on one end and not the other, the existing condition. Our proposal would be that we would just have flat caps on both ends. The existing condition on the left and a collage on the right from below. If you look at the image in the lower right corner here, this property right here is directly across the street on the south side of the street. Not directly in line with us, but I think two properties further east. And it has a cornice that's dark in color, but the sort of AV repetition of the dentrals there below is very similar. There are Italianate cornices elsewhere on the block. And then there are some properties in the upper right here. This is the west end of our block that have very, very small dentrals. Very reserved, a tiny row of dentrals under there. And then these are properties on the south side of our block, same block, Italianate. And I don't know, I think that's
So one should note that there is an addition. So that part of what we think the history of that lower cornice is was to hide a transition in brick, which you can see in the 64 photos and the previous. But it's there. It's subtle, but it's there. So we think, however, this occurred in previous. Some of it we think happened actually after designation. So part of the reason we're in this situation is because it's not the typical situation where it happened prior to designation. So I can't tell you about the original proposal and how this occurred. So really in discussion with one of the deputy directors, this is Bernadette Artis, who we have a long relationship with. She suggested that we really try to return it to something more appropriate, and they don't really see a contextual reference for that lower cornice, and that's really how it went away.
the cornice itself is made up of 3 separate GFRC products that are assembled to produce the overall cornice profile.
And what you note, much of the owner's motivation is that they don't, right now, it's not only is it very difficult to repair, it really should be something that has much lower maintenance threshold, which it's falling apart.
Does that conclude?
Yes,
your
sir.
We'd
Yes,
open
sir.
up the questions, please.
Yeah, I would like, could you go back to the picture, maybe the existing that shows the houses next door?
To the right is a large multiple dwelling.
That showed the actual row.
You know,
In any case, this one
Yeah.
helps out more.
Right.
This is not, the one on the left.
Left, correct.
Large hit.
Sure.
It appears that the several houses along there are a row, as was typically done, that matched. And I just wonder why you're not trying to continue the cornice line of the other houses that are of similar, if not identical design.
I mean, so the effort that we're making, we are trying to maintain the same elevation line and the same proportion from the top of the cornice to the bottom. However, you're correct that I guess the historical style is not Italianate like the next door, identical to the next door neighbors. The property to the east of us, as you can see in the image, the historical photo of that being another townhouse, it's now a large building. And the block, the street on 12th Street has these varied size buildings at this point. There are some houses, as you point out, that have that continuity of cornice, but they're, from my time spent on the block photographing, that continuity rarely goes beyond 2 buildings. So there's some continuity paired, but not much beyond that.
Okay, are there other questions?
Well, yeah, I'd like to talk about the look of that cornice a little bit further. I mean, regardless of whether a typical cadence is 2 or whether it's 3 or whatever, I still think there's a very good case to be made for more of the Italianate kind of cornice, which not only would be consistent with its neighbor, granted they're both very modified houses, and also consistent with some of your examples across the street, but also would have a more substantial look. I mean, I think that what you are presenting doesn't look whole within itself. It looks like it looks like a sort of mix and match of existing available modules. I may be way off base there, so please forgive me if I am, but to me, that's how it's reading, rather than a kind of more complete, coherent.
So, sorry, I'm just gonna jump. I just want to
Sure.
take one little quick note. Dave, maybe you can speak to the actual history a little bit more, because this was discussed, the variations happening between the, sorry, are you getting feedback?
No, we can hear you, Andrew. You're
Okay.
talking about the discussion between the Federalist, Greek Revival, and the Italian.
That's right. I think we had some in-depth and the to the point David made about having the pair, whether it be 3, 4, maybe the entire street, which I can fully appreciate. If we had a little bit more context, I think maybe in the other drawing, Dave, it shows it shows that disconnect kind of happening all the way down. But I believe Landmarks was sort of the nature of keeping it within its period, which didn't necessarily align completely with that neighboring building that you're seeing just in that one photo.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
Yes, I'm very fascinated by the various treatments on these facades, and it seems obvious to me that they were both added to, the top floor was added at some point.
Yes.
I appreciate all of the extensive research that you did. I'm a little surprised that you couldn't find any evidence or photos of what it was before it was added to.
Well,
But
we did see that. We see that there's a corbelled, I mean, with the addition, or you're saying prior to the addition?
well, actually, either one
Either.
would have been helpful. I mean, you have the shot of the added floor, but without that middle cornice. So first of all, I note that the brickwork on both these houses next to one another were originally 3 instead of 4 stories.
Mhm.
And that they both have just running coarse brick. And so we don't have a federal style type of brick coursing on either one of those houses. And then, of course, the one next to it, hopefully, well, shouldn't say that. I see the one next to it, they stripped off the stoop and they changed to an English basement. But I have to wonder, when you take that middle cornice off, you're going to have all of that exposed brick that doesn't match. And not just the color is different, but I noticed on the left side that there's even a split in the brick where it was patched in or something rather poorly done. And so I'm asking if part of your work is going to be not just maybe tuck pointing, but something more extensive to make the brick match.
Ron, maybe?
Well, I mean, you are bringing up a point that is unknown. So beyond the pointing job, we're keenly aware that once that middle cornice, let's say, that goes away, we'll have a big question mark there. So I'd love to say that we can solve it and match it better than it's there, but that certainly will be the effort. I mean, these are all, everyone cares about these buildings, including the owner. So they want it to look as reasonable as possible. And I think we could do a better job than what's next door, but and the historical photo shows it and it's subtle, but at least we don't have severe deterioration. We don't have the level of weathering that's on our neighbor's building. We should be able to do better than that. But you are pointing out that we could point to further details. If you look at the existing cornice, it sits atop the lintels on the top window, which is also unusual. That's also a detail we're not especially excited about. So we're still hoping to return. Once we had a scaffold up there for years, which is when we started the process. But now the scaffold's gone, and so we're now back at the process where we can take our time a bit because there's no reason to rush. There was a local law 11 on that multiple dwelling next door. But that's another condition that we are similarly concerned about. When that lower portion of the cornice comes out, what are we going to find there? So
Yeah, I think we're all concerned about that. And I mean, you can even see with the naked eye that there's 2 different colors of brick there. So how does one, what is that transition? What is the condition of the brick? I mean, all the obvious things. So I guess my question for you is sort of is there a plan B for, what happens when and if that lower cornice is removed? And, there's a really unfortunate condition, say like the one in the building right next door to yours.
And the lower part of the upper cornice as well.
So if you on one hand you say I have a brick transition where I have to get a good mason, I have to start really looking at borders and transition, but then you have this. I think everyone agrees so far, at least at Landmarks, that this lower cornice is an anachronism. It's a strange solution to the question. But I don't know how the board feels about that lower cornice in general. So
My question was, is there a plan B for what happens when and if that lower cornice is removed? It's not a question about, whether about the existence of the lower cornice. It really is a question about what happens if something looks really crummy underneath there.
well, the answer is we do have available to us some very good masons that we've done some very good work with. Brent Corp, Jack Pontus, we have some people that have done some really intricate and good masonry replacement, and that's our approach. So we have to first get approvals to see what's there. So we can't go in and even really probe it.
Could we go back to I'm sorry, are you two finished?
I think Brian's got another question.
Could we go back to the proposed cornice? It's hard not to see it in context. Are you saying there's a return on each end of it? That's better.
No, just a blank.
Just a cat.
There are the returns or not returns, or
We could do it with the approach we're taking with the GFRC. It could be executed either way. We're showing it capped at the moment.
right? And the two next door that I'm still fixated on, as it were, do not have, and
Correct. They do not
Yes.
return. They do not
Correct.
return.
they're
Yeah.
sympathetic to each other. And are you proposing white instead of white?
Yes, white. Yep.
I just feel that trying to somehow be more sympathetic to the other two. We're given that what's there is white and it's not historic, so
We'd be very open.
starting with a blank slate.
Yeah, I don't think our owner would object at all to a dark color or another color. The board felt that matching the neighbor, or certainly that could be a gesture to the neighbor.
And that would because those two are not, they're not
Correct.
identical, and that there's difference. So a difference can be tolerated, but the white, I'm so glad to find out the history. This has driven me crazy for years. So understand about what is. And it's all the more evident because of that big building at the end of the road. Anything else from Susan or Brian?
Brian,
Yes, before we go into business session, I know the scope of work is just the front facade cornice. I'm just curious whether the windows have been replaced in the past or will be in the future.
So the windows are older. We have suggested to the owner that there be a window replacement program put into this, but I think right now they have a tenant and they're interested in just facing the window replacement program would require interior access. So they don't see that happening in the near future. So that's why they said, let's focus on the cornice.
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you. Are there people from the public, Susan?
Anyone?
Anybody like to speak?
A lot of people here.
Are you here to?
I'm just very comprehensive.
okay, so you're not here to ask any questions about this particular application? Okay, great. Sure.
There were not people.
Not in the room, and do we have people, is there anybody here? Let's see if we have any attendees virtually. Are there any virtual attendees who would like to speak? If so, please raise your hand. All right, no raised hands, Chenault.
Okay, thank you. This concludes the public session.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chanel.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay to listen to the business session.
Can you just in the good order remove them from?
Yeah,
You got it? Okay,
let's see.
good.
Yeah, I know.
If you
Oops,
go to participants. And then right-hand most.
Yeah, you can also click on those three.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Oops. Change role to end.
That's-
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
What do we recommend about the proposal? I think you've heard what I recommend, so.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because I think to have neither the sort of more Italianate corbelled cornice and instead have the one that's proposed, and also have it in a white color, which, it is in a tricky position because of the contemporary larger building next to it. And I don't think that the white does anything on the positive side. And I think that a darker color would make it just a lot more coherent with what's on the other side of it. Brian, what do you
Well, I
think?
agree with that. I think the darker color would be helpful to blend it in. I am in support of taking the lower cornice out, although I think there are going to be problems that they are going to need to solve to make the brick blend.
Well, we'll put in something about that as well.
I think we need to definitely put in
That's
something.
before us because the demolition of what's there is before us.
Right, but I do think we have to express our concerns about, what the plan B might be. I mean, I understand and I believe that they have good masons, but that doesn't mean that still is, we don't know what that, and they don't, how can they know? Because who knows what's going to be underneath it? But I think it's a pretty safe assumption that what's underneath it, isn't going to be great.
It's going to need a lot of work.
And unfortunately, there is precedent from the
Yeah,
for
that's-
fiberglass.
That's right. Well,
It's
as far as,
so obvious. There's a 12-story building that I pass, and every time it draws my eye that it's fiberglass.
Yeah.
And the building at the corner of Waverly Place and 10th Street is a row house, and it glistens. What I think we should also in the color be clear about, and we have been before with fiberglass, that it great care is taken with the texture as well as the paint color, that it doesn't read as glistening.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hey, we should talk about the fact that, how the proposed new cornice is resolved at the ends with caps rather than a return.
Yeah, and they did that. I thought it returned when I asked the question, but I saw that it didn't, because the two next door don't return, and it's not going to line up perfectly. So it again helps those three somehow be united in between the apartment buildings.
so I think that I want to make sure I'm clear with what they're proposing, and that with all their good intentions to tuck point the brick, to repair or replace brick as needed, that that approach I am good with. I applaud that. I think they'll bring it to a level of appearance that's going to be superior to the existing condition or previous existing conditions. And so that's what I would support.
Are you talking about the facade or the?
The brick facade.
Yes, that's what I thought. Okay.
And what do you think about cap versus return?
I think that the return is going to be a better appearance than the way they showed it.
I do too.
The other two don't. That was my point. The other two are sheer.
Yeah, can't do much about that.
I'm sorry, are you saying that it's important that it return or not important that it return?
Yes, important that it return.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. I mean, it already doesn't literally match the other two, and given its position vis-a-vis the apartment building next to it, and given that I think we all share concerns about the slightly, slightly tackier quality of the fiberglass material, I think, giving it a return will give it a more substantial appearance.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very visible. I mean, it's exposed on that corner.
Yeah.
As the photograph showed it. And I was over there today too, and you just go to the side of the house and it stands out. So every detail on that cornice is going to be seen.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to see, I've gotten everything. I think I have everything down. Our other task is simply to acknowledge that at I better read it. 232 West 11th Street. Irrevocable consent application to install large trash receptacle. We heard this and we made suggestions. The proposal had somehow intruded on the architecture in an awkward way and gone from a panel area into a pilaster area, something of that sort. And they did indeed come back with a design that doesn't intrude in that way. So they fulfilled what we asked them to do.
Mhm.
And they wouldn't normally come back in that case. And so we have, in essence, approved this.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it would be nice to have seen the picture of what they're going to do, because, it's a big window and.
In the end, they found a shorter one that fit the panel area.
Oh,
Rather than having one on each side or a pair on each side or whatever it was.
and
We weren't trying to balance it so much as find a solution,
Yeah.
not intruding. The needs statement. Here's where we are with the needs statement. We have one need and we know what that is. And in the point of priorities, we were actually in the top 10 ones. And there simply have always been things that are more pressing for social reasons, health reasons, educational reasons. And the commission has consistently said that they have enough money and enough personnel to do what needs to be done. And we have consistently said, but you're not doing it. So would more money help? And that's where we've been stuck.
Right.
So should we submit nothing? Should we submit the same one again for?
I think we should submit the same one again, because there is a disconnect between what we see here within our community with enforcement and inconsistency, which does suggest inadequate staff, level of staffing. And I don't think we should just throw our hands up and say, all right, well, whatever, you say you've got enough. Okay, not when we see all around us all these situations where things are not,
And it's true.
are blatantly ignored.
It's true with the sidewalk situation and other departments as well. We also have an advantage here that we will likely have a new commissioner
Yeah.
by the time this shakes down out.
You know, another reason, Chenault, I think we should stick to this
Yeah,
is,
and we perfected the wording of it, and it's the same thing, just seeking out and enforcing and ensuring that approved things are built as approved.
yeah, and I think there's one more reason, and that has to do with the more relaxed commission rules on signage, and that there's more that they can do at staff level regarding signage, which, you know, does not have a good effect on our historic districts and creates a kind of anything goes sort of atmosphere around signage, where one sees something that, you know, 3 years ago would have absolutely not been kosher. And now, you know, even those of us who know a bit about these things are like, well, I guess they approved it at staff level. Like, who knows, you know? And so I think signage is so important. They're taking more of it now. We don't really know because I mean, we've read the rules, but we don't know them in our bones the way they do. I mean, I think monitoring these things are very important, and they're the ones to do it.
And with the signage, the reason we objected to it in the change is that it is so subjective.
Right.
What is an ugly sign? What is an appropriate sign? What is an acceptable sign?
The other reason that we objected was the one-size-fits-all nature of the amended rules.
I'd like to propose one thing of new business since we have a bit of time. The flowers. We're hearing, we've had at least 2 in the last while, I think ever, wanting to make permanent flowers. I would propose that we write our usual kind of letter, making very clear what our position is. It's not historic, it's not sympathetic. The big thing is that it covers up historic fabric.
Right.
They're just on whatever's there.
They don't age well, right.
And in a way, a perfectly plain building is historic.
Right.
At least it's a building, not an opportunity to decorate.
Right, and a temporary condition
Be more
should be just that.
categorical about it.
You know,
And perhaps we could bend on the question of, for an opening, I would hesitate to say special event, because I think we might bend on the question of an opening as a kind of perking up, here's a new store, with an absolute limit of the time.
Right, I mean, I think a temporary condition, okay, you're opening a new business, you want to, you know, there's a theatrical quality. These things are kind of like artificial flower prosceniums, right? It's the opening, it's like the curtains going up, here's our place. You know, I get that, and I think, you know, we're not opposed to a temporary condition with these things. We're just opposed to,
or even entertaining the concept of its being. I don't think it's in order for an application to come before us to make it permanent. That's what I'm saying.
say that again?
I say, I don't think it's in order for us to for the commission to entertain an application to make the temporary installation permanent.
Right, agreed, Brian?
And if we work that up into our usual letter to send to the commission, I think it will.
You know,
May decide to send that. We should speak to others to send that after the election.
Yeah, Brian would like to speak.
you know, Chenault, I really feel that these artificial flower decorations can be treated just like signage. Would we approve that much signage on any historic building, I think it's a very plain and simple resolution there. We would, whenever we've had buildings or businesses applying for signage that covers the entire facade or fills the windows, we look down on that. This is not appropriate. And to me, it's the same thing. The flowers are, I shouldn't say flowers, the fake foliage is a form of signage. It's a form of, hey, look at me, you know, grab attention. And it's just not appropriate in the historic districts, period.
With signs, we have historic precedent and, if you will, current precedent of what's prevalent in the neighborhood. And we have neither of those to use as reference with the flowers.
Except if you look at it as signage.
Right, I think that's a great comparison.
It's decoration.
It's decoration used as signage.
Yeah, it's because it's an identifier.
Are there other matters?
Signs don't have to have words.
Right.
So,
No, I think it's a great point.
Okay, thank you both, and thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, guests at the back.
You have it.
And Mark, will you send me the list of non-committee, whatever you glean from the
The attendance? Sure thing.
yeah, just how many members of the public, and I can't see who the people in the back are, so if either are new board members.
They've signed in kindly, so we'll send you all of that.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Talk soon, Chanel. Okay, bye-bye.
just out of curiosity,